It's still a very exciting period, and a mixture of excitement and anxiety that comes from running a new car, because you have all the predictions, and those things have become better over the years, but you're never 100% certain. So there's always the excitement of running a new car. I'm fortunate, I've never suffered sleepless nights, whatever's been happening. It causes, a new car always causes long nights, because like now we're testing and I'll be here till quite late, and some of the engineers even later. So it causes long nights, but I do always manage to sleep properly. So, but say the excitement and anxiety and making sure you can extract the most from what you've got. These next few days are very important. We've tested in isolation, which is always difficult, but we're reasonably encouraged by what we've seen. But half a second one way or the other is what makes the difference in Formula One. So until we get to Melbourne, we won't know the true picture. But you get a feeling, you get an impression, you get a feeling if you're in a stronger group or if you've got to catch up. So the impressions so far are positive, but this week in Barcelona we're going to have the first comparisons with other teams, but yeah, relatively positive. The regulations have been changed to reduce the effect of exhausts, and where you put the exhaust is now controlled. So the usage of the exhaust to enhance the underbody flow is much reduced, and the exhaust will still have an effect, but it's much reduced. There's been a move to lower the front of the nose, which has caused these step noses, which are very prevalent, and that's been done to reduce the height of the impact if one car hits another. So I think it's a good objective. We've got to look at perhaps improving the aesthetics for the future, and a much tighter control on the engine mapping you can have to reduce the efficiency of the exhaust mode. So those are the major changes that we're facing this year. Well, it was a fascinating area, the use of exhaust energy, and as always, cars the exhausts have been there. They have to have been there for forever. So we just didn't appreciate the benefits that could come from it, and placing the exhaust in a really strategic and beneficial place. But more importantly, then understanding how we could use the engine to provide a constant thrust of the exhaust. So, even when we were off the throttle, we were providing thrust to the exhaust. So there was no power being generated by the engine, but we were getting the exhaust gas passing through. So, as always in Formula One, we grab hold of a concept and we exploit it to beyond its maximum. And it was interesting and opened up a whole new area of understanding we had to have, both aerodynamic and engine. And as one team, as Mercedes, we had that benefit of being an engine manufacturer and designer and a chassis manufacturer and designer, so that enabled us to bring both those strengths together to get the most from it. Well, we're still getting a bit of performance from the exhaust with the new car. Nothing like was achieved with the last year's regulations and last year's concept. But there's once you learn something, once you discover something, you don't uninvent it. So all of the engineers, all of the designers in Formula One have been looking at how they can still retain some of the performance, but it's far reduced to what we had last year. And I think most people in designing their new cars would be quite happy if they were able to achieve the overall performance that they achieved last year. We were testing in Jerez with the 2011 car, and it looked to be the most consistent and fastest car there in 2011 specs. All the new 2012 cars were a bit behind that. So I think anyone who's doing their new 2012 car is able to get close to what they achieved in 2011 is doing a very good job. Well, the high chassis and high noses evolved to get the air under the car and to improve the flow in what we call the keel area and out into the side pods and under the car. So, we don't want to put the chassis higher because, of course, it's weight up high. There's no advantage to that, but we put it up high for aerodynamic reasons. So when the nose was brought down low, we wanted to try and see how we could retain some of the advantage that we had with the high chassis. And that's why you've seen these step noses, because the height of the nose is constrained up to a certain point, and the chassis is constrained after that, and the dimensions are different. It was this extra height for the chassis was retained because there were a few teams who said maybe we want to carry on with our 2011 chassis, and because we want to carry on with our 2011 chassis, we want to be able to match the new nose up to it. So the FIA agreed, at least for now, to let that pass. But I think I doubt, quite frankly, whether there's going to be many people who've carried over their chassis from last year. So I think it may be a detail that will improve in the future. We must move forward. We must, we've had 2 seasons of 4th in the World Championship, and that's not good enough. So we must move forward. Whether we achieve our ultimate ambition this year or next year or whenever, we've got to keep moving forward. We've got to keep the team strengthening. I say my dream would be for Michael to win again and for Nico to win his first race. So that's our ambition. That's our objective. A championship is made up of many things, and we will take that opportunity if we have a chance of winning a championship. But you never know. You never know how strong the opposition are. You never know how good a job you've done. We'll know a little bit more from this testing over the next few weeks. But as I say, I think the thing that's very encouraging for me is the strength we've got in the team now and the ability of the team to react. I mean, we have massive support from our board and Dr. Zetcher. We couldn't ask for more support for what we want to achieve. And but we're now building a team that I feel can achieve those ambitions and those objectives.